Hi there, my name is Sam Drysdale, and you are watching The Music Enthusiast.
Hi, I'm Sarah from Music Enthusiast, and today I'm here with Sam Drysdale. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you doing?
So good. I'm so happy to be talking to you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. To start off, do you have a fondest musical memory?
Do I have my most fond musical memory?
Yeah.
I think I saw, I'm trying to think, well, it would have to be one of two things. Probably the first time I remember ever hearing music. I think my dad played me some Neil Young when I was a baby. It's maybe my earliest memory. So I think he was giving me a bath and he played me Old Man by Neil Young. And I think that's probably my first human memory that I can think of. And then my second favorite would be I saw Dallas Green, City and Color, at sort of the mother church of country music, the Ryman Music Hall in Nashville, by myself.
Oh, wow.
And I went totally on my own. And I remember about halfway through the set, I saw this guy up on the upper deck of the Ryman. And he was just like super, he did not look like the kind of guy that would follow City and Color at Dallas Green. He was like a very Southern looking guy and kind of haggard, and he was super drunk, but he was just loving every minute of this concert. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, that's such a beautiful thing. Like, this guy does not look anything like what I would maybe attribute like physically and aesthetically to Dallas Green or City and Color. And I just love that that connection was being made. This guy it just didn't look the part. And I love that. It's just said a lot about sort of the power of music and how universal it can be.
Yeah, totally. And you were exposed to music at such a young age. So do you remember like what was the first album you ever bought?
Man, I think the first album I ever bought or asked my parents to buy was either, I want to say it was Enema of the State by Blink-182. Or it was like all of the Blink-182. I bought like 3 Blink-182 records all at once. Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, probably, Enema of the State. And then, yeah, I think it was those two. I bought that first Avril Lavigne record I bought pretty early as well. And Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. One of those 4, honestly. Get Rich or Die Trying by 50 Cent. I'm just trying to go through in my mind all the CDs I had in my little CD case that I would walk around with as a kid. Get Rich or Die Trying was like, that was there. The 8 Mile soundtrack was there. Yeah, I don't know. I would think something Blink-182 though, probably.
That's incredible. And like the diversity of like the music that you had going on is so crazy.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. I think the first time I ever spent money on my own album was a Blink-182 album, which was like 1999 or something. So I was like 7 years old or 6 years old, whatever I was.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And on to the single, I mean, it's going to be released really, really soon. So how are you feeling about this one?
I'm feeling amazing. This whole next chapter of music that we have, and this sort of new era that we're hoping to introduce in this new world that we're trying to bring to the listeners, I think is just so much more realized and more deliberately articulated than the last project that we put out. And this first single, Dream About a Girl, is I think going to provide as like a really good introduction to this sort of different side of me, and both musically and aesthetically. So yeah, I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, how different is this era from like the last album that you put out?
I think it's night and day, like really genuinely night and day, just in terms of from everything from sonically. I think I don't think it's actually terribly different sonically. I just think it's way better. Like, okay. Just every time that we reached for something on the first project, I think every time we reached for a similar thing on this record, whether it be like reaching for that up-tempo pop song or reaching for that sort of like sexy 6/8 R&B record, like we just got there better with this. Yeah. With this one. The first one, it feels like there was some missteps and some compromise being made. And with this new record, it's entirely different aesthetically, way more realized aesthetically. And then sonically, it's just so much more polished and so much more well thought out, I think, personally, and just like basically objectively stronger in every way. So yeah, very excited.
Yeah, me too. And what was the creative process like for this track? Because it seems like there's like so many layers of vocals, especially in the chorus.
Sure, yeah. A lot of that vocal magic you're hearing in the chorus actually comes from like one of my brilliant co-writers on the project as a whole. Her name's Alexandra Somalius, and she's the one singing a lot, like all of the female parts in the chorus, and she's sort of acting as the girl. We really wanted like a feminine voice and some sort of like a feminine soundscape to the choruses, because the song is about this dream that I had that about sort of like this female energy that I couldn't quite put my hands on, and we really wanted to capture that and capture sort of like a dreamy soundscape and a bit of a feeling of euphoria and sort of sleepiness. So yeah, we started the record in Toronto, and originally I thought it was going to be an acoustic thing. I thought it was going to be sort of like a piano ballad. That's just the way it was. It sounded sadder initially, and then one of the producers, Andrew Martino, sort of convinced me to put like a bit more tempo behind it and put a big snare drum on it, and then we sort of started moving it forward that way. Yeah, and I'm glad that I listened to him, because I think the way that it ended up now with some pace is, I think it does the song justice. And we ended up bringing the record to this guy that I work with quite frequently in Los Angeles named Joey Verscazzi, and he ended up finishing up the record and helping us sort of bring it to the finish line. And yeah, it was a long process, but it proved to be something quite repeatable. And those two guys, Marty and Joey, really collaborated well on the whole album as a whole. So
Definitely. I was gonna ask if the song went through different like versions, but it clearly did.
yeah, no, it was a lot. And yeah, we still have some tricks up our sleeve with that song. And, you know, I think that maybe it deserves a bit of an acoustic life as well. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll put out an acoustic version.
Amazing. Sounds good. This is a fun question. If there was like going to be a roller coaster inspired by your music, what do you think it would look like?
I think it would be black. I think you'd have to paint the whole thing black and red, probably. The whole roller coaster, I think, would be painted black and red. And then I think it would be exclusively ridden at nighttime. I think you'd have to ride it at nighttime. And I think it would have to go through a few different stages. I think it would have to go through a stage that was very Los Angeles inspired, with a lot of palm trees and just a little bit of that sort of starlit shine to it. I think it would have to go through that stage. And then I think it would also have to go through a stage of like really vibrant colors, like almost like a roller coaster inside of a kaleidoscope. I think if that makes any sense. But yeah, maybe a couple loops and then a couple just moments of really nice, like easy listening through some, you know, more sort of vibrant colors and things like that.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. And last question, who are your favorite artists right now?
Man, I always think about this question because I figure it's probably one I'm going to get asked, and I'm always like, okay, these are the 5 that I'm going to line up for it, and then I forget them every single time. Okay. So I'm just going to say the first 5 that come to my brain.
Okay.
I'm really, really inspired by artists right now that are doing things visually as well as sonically. There's just so much music coming out right now that I think one of the best ways for artists to distinguish themselves is by having really good, consistent visuals, and starting to start, you know, adapting that as part of their medium as well. So I'm really inspired by Tyler, the Creator. I think he's amazing. I think that the entire EXO camp is like probably the most inspirational music curation collective in the world for me right now. I just think that they're so fucking brilliant. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but I think that they're so fucking brilliant. Lamar Taylor, especially, the sort of creative director for that whole thing. I think they're amazing. I love that they're Canadian. I'm also really liking some of these bedroom pop guys that are coming up, like Alexander 23, I think is really special. Alex Benjamin is really special. They both are such amazing lyricists. You're never gonna I'm never going to be able to say enough about John Mayer. He's been a humongous inspiration to me since basically Jump Street. So I'll never be able to say enough about him. I think his latest record, again, very, very visually stimulating and consistent, I think is amazing. And then I'm really, really into the sort of female R&B scene. So like Georgia Smith, I think is like fantastic. Jasmine Sullivan, I've been listening to a lot. Kiana Lede has a couple songs that I just think are like some of the best R&B I've heard in a while. So those are just some that kind of clicked to my brain right away.
Yeah, those are incredible. Thank you so much for chatting with me. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.